Good evening, members of council, ladies and gentlemen, staff. I see that we have quorum, and I call this regular meeting for Monday, April 18th, 2016, to order. We will begin our meeting with a special moment of silence to recognize a former councillor who was termed an alderman, and that's Mr. Leo Braziz. Mr. Braziz served as alderman for the town of Pelham from 1970 to 74. And he served on that council in a very early council, which was setting up the town. Council will recall, members of the public will recall, that the town was officially amalgamated between the township of Pelham and the village of Font Hill in 1969-1970, and Mr. Braziz served as alderman on those first couple of councils. He was also very, very actively involved in the community. With his church, with other community activities. And I recall meeting with Mr. Braziz a few times about downtown beautification, and this is shortly after I became mayor, so not too long ago. And he was the person in charge of the finances for the downtown beautification and overseeing that account. And it's out of that they assisted with some of the signage in the town and with the clock and things like that. So it was very, very active in that and cared deeply about our community. There was a visitation and funeral on April 9th, and the flags were held at half-staff on Monday, April 11th in Mr. Braziz's honor. And I would ask that we might take a moment of silence now and remember Alderman Leo Braziz. Thank you. And we offer condolences. I offer condolences on behalf of council to Mr. Braziz's family, to Rita and the other members of the family. I would ask all who are able to rise for the singing of the national anthem, and I would ask Councillor Papp to lead us. Thank you, Councillor.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, in all thy sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Councillor Papp, especially for leading us. We'll now move on to our agenda. It has been moved by Councillor Kirsty, seconded by Councillor Junkin. Be it resolved that the agenda for the April 18th, 2016 regular meeting of council be adopted as circulated. Are there any changes to the agenda? There being none, I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Next is the disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. That is any conflicts of interest that any members may have. Do any members have any conflicts they need to disclose? None?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Can that be so noted that there are no conflicts from any member of council? We will begin with a presentation by one of our staff, Anna McKnight, who's going to show us a little bit about the Town of Pelham Municipal website, and especially regarding the Pelham Community Center page. So please, Ms. McKnight, thank you for joining us in that capacity this evening.
Mayor Augustine, members of council, for the opportunity to quickly provide a demonstration of our website, in particular as it pertains to the community center. As with all of our communication, you know that we spend a considerable amount of time and effort to make sure this is valuable and purposeful to our residents, and that it helps deliver your strategic priority of being open and transparent. Within the last 17 days of the month, I know today's the 18th, but stats work 24 hours, we've had over 7,000 visits to our website. The second highest page is the Pelham Community Center page. That is just after our career opportunities, which are always number one. So those never get bumped. We've had over 400, close to 420 unique visits to the Pelham Community Center's webpage, and we know that on average people are spending about almost 3 minutes per visit, and they're visiting an average of 5.5 pages, so they're spending a considerable amount of time looking at content and being familiarized with the design, which is all really fantastic news. We also know that the majority of our users come to our website directly, or they use Google. And what that means is they're either searching directly on Google, let's say they type in Pelham Community Center and our webpage comes up first, or they come here and they do it. So I thought we could go over just some points of access. Like I said, there's over 11 ways that residents can reach the Pelham Community Center page. The most easiest is to come to pelham.ca. If you wait, it'll scroll and it'll be the first one there. There's other ones at pelham.ca. They can type in /community-center. They can do pelham.ca/PCC. So there's a whole host of ways they can do it. Obviously, the easiest one is to come to pelham.ca. They can use Google, though. Google will show you that as well. This is the first page they see when they enter our website. It usually has a message down here prompting them to see what is new. I'm just going to pause it here. Once they're here, they can just click on the image, and it takes them straight to the page. So as we scroll down, sorry, I just want to go back to the home page. I did want to point out that from the home page, there's also a number of opportunities. One of them is through our news, right here. If they click on here, it takes them to explaining what's the latest update, but they can click again here. So we land at the same page. If they're on the home page and they're just looking what's new and they look at events, they can click here and they come back to the page. And of course, they can use our How Might I toolbar, community centers under Learn and Find, or as I mentioned, they can just type it in. So let's try it. Oh, and it even comes up. Community Center, and there it is, the first one. The same thing will happen on Google. Our website uses Google search. So once they're on the site, a couple of things to consider. The very first thing that they and you may notice is our subscribe button. This allows them to enter their name and their email address, which allows them to be updated every time we change and publish an update to the web page. So for example, today we added a new question and we were able to circulate that to everybody who was subscribed. Subscribing takes mere seconds. They just consent to have a subscription, they confirm and they subscribe, and it's immediate. So we instantly get that email, that list is updated right away. Some of the things to consider on this page is we've used best practices when it comes to web design. We know that on average people only spend less than 15 seconds per web page, so it's really important to capture their attention and to keep them on the page. This page has a lot of information that's really important, so as they come down here, we have a number of tabs in addition to some information and some information from community members. All the different tabs have different information. So for example, the about the design and process is just one I'll pick right now, has information on it. Anything that is a hyperlink will take them directly to a page on our website. So we're not asking them to search again, we're not asking them to do everything. Everything is linked and embedded together. We leave the page open for them so they can always refer back to it. We have embedded directly in here presentations from the March 22nd meeting, and we also provide the videos, and they can go straight here. Just going to pause that. We also have a number of relevant questions. We're also able to provide graphics, so charts and other images that may help to bring some of the content to life. And in this particular one, we're able to provide subtopics. So for example, for development charges, under financing options and surplus lands, and even community fundraising. So they can stay right within the topic that they're looking for. We're not making them review all the content. We're not making them look in various places. We're just giving them what they're looking for. Once you move just a little bit further down, we have some frequently asked questions. Frequently asked questions are used to help users quickly get the answers or the gist of the content they're looking for. A lot of them are set up plain language, quick answers. They're all providing links where appropriate. This is, I believe, a report it might even be a press release, yeah. So they're all interlinked with all the content that we have available to the public. Another important thing to consider is, as you see as we move up and down the page, the thing that remains consistent is our feedback button. This lets residents tell us what they think of the web page, any web page. They can do this anywhere on the website. These come directly to us. We address these right away if we can. If it's an issue with the link not working or it's not pointing to a right page, these are very helpful and they do get used. So these are always there for residents to use as well. We also, at the very bottom, have an email option. So should they have any questions or concerns, or they don't see the feedback button, they can email us there as well. Our Stay Connected or Connect with Us tab is an option to register to follow us on social media if you wish, or to look at more YouTube videos that may not be linked here. It also links to our Have Your Say topics. So the most important one is right now that is active is the Pelham Community Center one. If they click on here, and this link is available through the direct page over there, this brings them to PlaySpeak. PlaySpeak is our online community forum that allows residents to voice their opinions. On our webpage, under the Have Your Say forum, we have codes of conduct and infographics and videos explaining what the forums are all about, privacy statements and code of conduct. But once they're here, we do link back to it, you'll notice down here. But we give a general overview of what the project is. To, again, make things simpler for folks, we have added all of the same resources. You'll notice some of the familiar graphics and videos and charts coming back. So they don't have to go back to the webpage if they don't wish. They can stay here and provide all the content they want. We've even updated, we've even added all of our events. So our two that just passed would have been the 2 community center open houses. If we were here on this page this time last week, they would have been first. They have now passed, but so now our public meeting is the first one. So again, all of the content is provided, and even if we just simply click here, oh, it should take us back to here. So these are the options here. In the interest of keeping things very simple for people, it is available here. So when they're going through the topics, through the sections, they can still view the online community consultation. This is also where if they click, this one here, if they're interested in the meeting, this is where we have the forms available. So a simple click brings them to a fillable PDF. They can complete that as well. And then there's some instructions of how to submit. So I should mention that PlaySpeak, the forum will be open the same timeline as this is open, just to ensure that if responses are to be included on the agenda, the clerk will have enough time to include them. And that pretty much concludes the overview, unless you had some questions or you wanted to delve deeper into any of the other.
Thank you very much, Ms. McKnight, for your brief presentation. Do any members of council have any questions for Ms. McKnight? No, appreciate you reviewing those. Councillor King?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Ms. McKnight. I realize this is a presentation on the website, but those residents that would not have access, would not have internet access, how would they obtain the same information?
That's a great question. We've done a number of things to ensure that this particular information about the community center is available through a number of avenues. So we have a whole communications plan that would have come to you, I believe, in the end of February, that I'm happy to bring back and kind of discuss all the ways we've done it. And I can go into that now if you want me to. We've done a number of newspaper advertisements. We've done home mailers, so people have received information in their mailbox as recently as last week. We've had open houses that we've conducted. We've had information at our front counters. And we've had takeaways at our counters in our libraries and our facilities, like our fire stations and all that, and the arena. And we've been working with answering questions as people come in to the counter, or as we've been hearing, we've put posters around around the town where we can. And we've been working with other groups to help spread the message about whether it's about the open houses or just the website in general.
Thank you, that's very helpful.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions for Ms. McKnight? Ms. McKnight, I have a question. You said that normally an average web page is 15 seconds and this is 2 minutes?
Yes, 2 minutes, 47 seconds is on average what people view our pages on pelham.ca.
So that's quite a huge difference. So people, what does that indicate? I don't want to put words in your mouth. What does that
Well, what we
indicate?
hope it indicates, and we know that they view 5.65 pages on average while they're visiting per visit, which is a great indicator that they're searching through the content and our linkage between content is working. And so in other words, if they're looking for a particular page or a particular topic, they're then referenced to a different one. So for example, here in particular, we link to our Architectural Design Advisory Committee, we link to maybe past meeting minutes. So that's what it sort of tells us, is that our linkages are working. It also tells us that our website is user-friendly also on a mobile platform. We know that 30% of people use our website on a mobile platform, which is also important when you're downloading presentations or trying to view videos. Which is also telling us that they're spending the time to try to look at that content and view that content.
Very good. Thank you very much. That's helpful. Thank you for your presentation and for leading us through. Thank you. Now we move to report from delegations, report from Regional Councillor Beatty. Thank you for joining us, Councillor Beatty. And thank you for providing your report. I'm not even gonna make any comments on it. I'll let you delve into it.
It's unique, Mr. Mayor, members of council and staff. May I mention, Mr. Mayor, as well, that former Mr. Brzez was also the regional Niagara Escarpment Commissioner.
Thank you.
Served that role when the Escarpment Commission was formed.
That's right, he was. Thank you for reminding us of that. Thank you.
This report is unique in the sense that no business per se was accomplished other than the awarding of a very significant award to a young man. The topic basically of the night was on biodiversity offsetting. It was a series of presenters, numbers of questions, etc. Even the motion dealing with that topic and an amendment to it was not even acted on before curfew was achieved. It was unique. It was very frustrating, I must say, in terms of looking at all the rest of the business that wasn't touched upon. I'm here to answer any questions regarding Regional Council, but if there's questions about biodiversity offsetting or what was said or what was the nature of that, be willing to answer any questions, but I think it's been pretty well handled in the media.
Thank you very much, Councillor Beatty. And I think
Ongoing debate.
the meeting will continue, I believe, next Thursday at 1 p.m.
Right.
So hopefully we can deal with the business that we should have been dealing with. Not that we shouldn't have been dealing with this, but we can complete the rest of the business. Questions for Councillor Beatty? No? Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Beatty. Appreciate it. It has been moved by Councillor Papp, seconded by Councillor Kersey. Be it resolved that the April 18, 2016 report submitted by Regional Councillor Beatty be received for information. Thank you very much. I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thanks for joining us this evening. We'll look forward to seeing you at Regional Council over the next couple of days as we go into the next phase of committee meetings.
It'll be a marathon meeting. Very good.
Councillor. Now we move to adoption of minutes. It's been moved by, I'm going to say Councillor Junkin, and seconded by Councillor Kersey. Be it resolved the following minutes be adopted as printed, circulated, and read. Minutes of the regular meeting of Council of April 4th, 2016, and of the special meeting of Council of April 11th, 2016, that education session. Questions, I guess it should be today, errors or omissions to any of those minutes? There being none, I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you. Now we move to consent agenda items for block consideration. Are there any items that members of council would like to lift for separate consideration and not to be dealt with in block? Councillor Kersey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to lift the recommendations from COW 11.2.1 and specifically item CW 2016-0404- or .1010, that's specifically dealing with Pelham Summerfest and the road closure recommendation that was encased in there. And together with that, 11.3.2, the recommendation report with respect to a proposed amendment.
Okay, so this was from council committee, sorry. All right, thank you. We'll deal with those items separately. Any other items to be dealt with separately? Councillor Kersey, you're on a roll, go ahead.
On a roll. Rotary Club of Fawn Hill request to replace sign on Highway 20. That's 11.4.1. And also 11.5.2. I'm lifting that just, I have some questions, and in case it leads to a staff direction, it's probably better to lift it.
Okay. So that was the Rotary Club letter,
Yes.
1141, and the Ministry of Finance 1152 regarding the property tax decision update.
Yep.
All right, thank you. Any further?
That's it?
Okay, are there any other councilors that would like to lift any other items for separate consideration? All right, thank you very much. So it has been moved by Councilor Durley, second by Councilor King, be it resolved the following consent agenda items be received and the recommendations contained therein be approved as applicable. I'm going to check with the clerk. Councilor Kersey lifted one item, is that correct? But it's the remaining items that we can approve under the committee of the whole, is that correct?
Yes, you can approve all of them, or you can lift the block and approve them at that point as well. He's just interested in the one recommendation, though.
What's your preference in terms of how we do? Is there a preference?
Yeah, there's no preference for that.
All right, so let's lift all the recommendations just so that it's cleaner that way. But we do have the minutes for Committee of the Whole of April 4th, 2016. So we have lifted all the recommendations arising from that Committee of the Whole of April 4th, 2016. We have two staff reports remaining. One is of a routine nature action. One is Healthy Kids Community Challenge Grant. And the motion is be it resolved the council receive and support the summary report Niagara Healthy Kids Community Challenge Theme 1 Run, Jump, Plan Every Day. And the second is the updated Pelham Community Center operating projections, and the motion is be it resolved the council receive the updated Pelham Community Center's pro forma statement for information. And just as a highlight, we have lifted that Summerfest road closure. Councillor Kersey also lifted the Rotary Club, so the next item is information correspondence items, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario policy updates. Councillor Kersey lifted the Ministry of Finance property tax decision, so what's remaining is also the Niagara Central Airport Commission first quarter report, resignation letter from a Community Beautification Committee member, a thank you letter from Women's Place, and then finally there's two items of minutes to receive for information, and that's the Mayor's Youth Advisory Council minutes of February 23rd, 2016, and the Maple Acre Advisory Committee minutes of January 20th, 2016. Would members of council like to discuss any of the items under that? Councillor Durley?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do like to make a comment under item 11.5.1. It's very interesting to note that the federal government has announced funding to the tune of about $168 million over the next 2 years for recreational and cultural centers. Details are yet to be determined, but I'm certain that staff is well alerted to this and ready to go as soon as the details are out, because this funding opportunity is there, and we're perhaps in a position that we can take advantage of it. So just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention, that there is some money available, and certainly I think we'll be going after it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Durley. I was going to note that as well. I know that that was of concern to folks at the open houses, so thank you very much for highlighting it. Any other items? Councillor Ribbiak?
Mayor, I just wanted to make a comment with regard to item 1154, a resignation letter from the Community Beautification Committee. Just want to take the opportunity to acknowledge the tremendous contribution that Sandra Harding has made to this committee, the Beautification Committee for sure, but in the last term to the Communities in Bloom Committee, she was a hard worker, very much interested in the well-being of the town. I certainly will hope to approach her again when her time perhaps is more at leisure to come back to the committee and contribute everything that she has to contribute to that. So I'm really grateful to her for the time that she's spent, and I think that I would want the minutes to reflect that we are losing a good committee participant, and we hope to see her again soon.
Thank you very much, Councillor. We receive her resignation with regret and appreciation for her service, so thank you for that. Any other items? I do want to just underscore one of the items, 1131, which is the Healthy Community Challenge Grant. Great to see that this is something where the area municipalities are working together with the regional government to work on this, and you'll note in that very well laid out package that Pelham is getting involved in the skate park and the play in the park on Friday. So look forward to that progressing. So thank you very much to the director for organizing that and working together with the other municipalities on that. That's great news that we're receiving that and trying to get more active kids, but also a little bit more safety and training and things like that in the skate park. So very, very pleased to see that. Thank you. Anything further on any of the items? Councillor Papp?
Just picking up on what Councilor Gurley was mentioning in the AMO report, I think we need to get more details once they're clearer on the affordable housing for seniors of 200 million over 2 years. Find out where the region and how we're going to be able to, if we are able to access that, because that continually crops up, that whole issue, and I think that'd be worthwhile for us to maybe perhaps when we do our forum is just get hopefully there'll be more details on it at that time.
Thank you very much. Yeah, perhaps we can somehow look into that, Mr.
Find
CEO,
out.
and find out if there's some information to share with
Be
forum
very helpful
participants.
for us.
Certainly, yes, on the minds of many. So,
Yep.
thank you, Councillor, for highlighting that. Any other items? There being none, I'm going to call the question on those. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you. Councillor Kersey, you lifted a few items. Some of them you grouped together. So this is the recommendations arising from the Committee of the Whole of April 4th, along with the Summerfest Road closure. So, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. With indulgence, if I could deal with 11.3.2, the amendment report. And the reason I've suggested we deal with that first is that it has an impact on the COW recommendations. So what I'm suggesting, Mr. Mayor, is that we approve that report and then subsequently go back and approve the COW report with the wording as amended.
Okay.
So we'd approve the amendment and then approve the COW recommendation as amended.
Okay.
So I don't know how you want me to proceed with that. I guess I could make a motion to that effect.
We could simply deal with 11.3.2 first, and you're speaking in favor of the recommendation, is that correct?
I am, Mr. Mayor. Subsequent to the COW report being received and moved to recommend to council, there was a high-level meeting between Rec and Public Works, and there were some concerns expressed with respect to safety issues by Public Works, and so this was discussed at the Summerfest meeting, and well, it did raise some concerns with respect to the impact on businesses and how they're going to deal with that. We think safety must come first, and the committee will, and working with staff, will deal with the concerns of the business people that are on that street and that will be impacted by the earlier closure.
Okay, thank you. I note from the report that it was a soft closure, but what is being recommended here is a full closure for safety reasons. I raised the issue last during committee, and it was based on feedback that I received over the last couple of years from a particular business owner. I spoke to that business owner in the meantime, and he indicated that it's really a matter of knowing in advance. And I think if as you're saying, Councillor, if businesses know that this is the time, then they know that's the time and they can schedule it. If instead it's sort of a hard closure at noon or 1 o'clock, and yet there's still activity going on when they think that they can do half a day of business or were told they could, that's when the angst arises. So I think they would be fine with this as long as it's well publicized, and it sounds like staff will be well publicizing this. So thank you for raising it. Any further questions? So let's vote on that motion regarding the recommendation in 11.3.2 regarding the Summerfest closure, and it has been moved therefore by Councillor Durley, second by Councillor King. Be it resolved that Council authorize the following amended road closure for the 2016 Summerfest event: Pelham Street from Regional Road 20, Highway 20 to College Street from 9 a.m. Friday, July 15th to 1 a.m. Sunday, July 17th, 2016. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. And now to the recommendations arising from the Committee of the Whole, and it's been moved by Councillor Durley, second by Councillor King. Be it resolved that the recommendations arising from the Committee of the Whole of April 4th, 2016 be received and approved. And I guess, Councillor, your amendment, now that we've moved that, will say as amended? if that's okay with everybody. With council's consent as amended, I'm going to call the question unless there's any further comments or questions. All those in favor, any opposed, that carries as amended. Thank you, Councillor Kersey. You raised another item, which was the Rotary Club of Fawn Hill request to replace sign. Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I raised that because I'm a little bit confused and wasn't quite sure how to deal with it. The recommendation is that staff be directed to work with Rotary regarding, to facilitate the replacement of the sign, and yet that sort of flies in face of the fact that we have this gateway group that's working on establishing a gateway, and I just wondered how all of that fits together and would impact, and whether we need to direct staff to advise the Rotary Club that we are working on a gateway feature that may impact on the sign and may be incorporated into the gateway feature. So
Okay, let's hear from Mr. Ottaway on that. Mr. Ottaway.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To answer the councilor's question, I did make a presentation to the Rotary Club several weeks ago with regards to the Gateway Feature Public Art Project. Explained the process that was being undertaken, and this was in response to an earlier request by the Rotary Club to partner to fix their current sign on Highway 20, which is on the north side. After the presentation, the Rotary Club, I guess, had a discussion about it. They didn't express interest in getting involved directly in the public art process or project, but we're very interested in sponsoring another element by the Storm Pond, which is indicated in their letter, the water feature, some sort of gazebo, etc. So they also indicated that they wanted to see their Rotary Welcome to Fawn Hill sign basically cleaned up. They need a wood, the wood back needs to be replaced, and I think they provided some drawings. So although typically this would be something that would be eligible, I guess, under the permissive grant program, because there was some clarity that they'd asked for, because it's an existing sign, I believe it has our logo on it, they want to replace it with our new logo, etc. They're asking for $2,000. So this is something that I think we could partner with them to fix. It would be better to have a highway feature sign that is in good repair rather than in disrepair, and the money would come from the existing sign budget within the Public Works Department.
Thank you, Councillor.
So this would not conflict with what we have envisioned at the gateway there, and they're looking to replace it, and then they were talking about lighting and wanting us to spend the money on lighting and all of that. We're not going that far. You're just saying that we're going to throw in a couple of grand and update what is currently there.
That is correct, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, that's fine. So, that's fine. I'd be prepared to go ahead and support the motion as presented then.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. I was pleased to read the letter when, as the CEO indicated, talking about that they were interested in, this club was also interested in sponsoring and help financing some of the other elements that might be envisioned in that gateway corner. So very, very pleased to hear that. Thank you. Are there any others that would like to speak to this? Okay, so we'll take that as approving or looking at the motion that was originally envisioned, which is moved by Councillor Durley, second by Councillor King. Be it resolved, the council received the correspondence dated February 29th, 2016 from the Fawn Hill Rotary Club requesting replacement of the Fawn Hill sign on Highway 20, and staff be directed to work with the Rotary Club to facilitate the replacement of that sign. It should be noted somehow that what the CAO indicated, that it would be up to $2,000. Councilor, I don't know if you want to
I would move that.
move that amendment
I would,
in the
Mr.
motion.
Mayor, thank you.
Okay, is there a seconder for that amendment to the motion? Councillor Junkin. Any further discussion to the amendment? I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed on the amendment? So that amendment carries. So the main motion is that staff be directed to work with the Rotary Club to facilitate the replacement of the sign up to and including $2,000. Okay. So are we ready for calling the question on the amendment, on the amended motion? All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion carries as amended. Thank you. And the final item that was lifted for separate consideration is regarding the Ministry of Finance property tax decision update. Councillor Kersey, back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I lifted that principally because I didn't know whether we should direct staff to bring back a separate report or whether Madam Treasurer wanted to speak to this and explain to us what the impact of all of these recommendations are with respect to business tax capping, tax ratio flexibility, the property rate calculation. You know, there's quite a number of issues there. And I don't know whether you feel comfortable trying to address any of it tonight or whether you'd rather bring back an information report at a later meeting.
Madam Treasurer?
Yeah, there's a ton of different scenarios in here. Probably a report to council would be best just for an information purposes. Just for example, the tax capping, we only have 3 properties left. It's less than $3,000. The phase out would be within 4 years, so we really are just avoiding that. Tax ratios are set by the region, not by the municipality, so we just monitor what and are involved in the discussions around that. But I can bring it back in an information report, and then the public can understand how these processes work as well.
That'd be great. So perhaps I could ask for a staff direction.
Okay. I see Councillor Durley signaling something here, so let's.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to build on that, we have very few commercial properties that are in this group, but there are several in the region. And in fact, we do have a blended tax rate when we look at the region. I'm just wondering the impact that other municipalities would have if they're getting into this. And I know it probably would be very difficult for you to ascertain this information. However, what affects, if they're not paying in other municipalities or region, because of this capping, our share of the regional portion would include some of that. And this to me gives me just a little ill feeling that, we would be paying some things that, for subsidizing capping in other municipalities. And I don't know if we can get any information on that, but it certainly is a concern to me because we are so few properties where others have so many. So again, I just put that out, and if some investigation could perhaps be done in the report that comes back, an indication of can impact to municipalities that don't have this challenge be mitigated. And I put that out for thought. It's a real thing out there. It's just a matter of how do you deal with it.
Okay, thank you, Madam Treasurer.
Through you, Mr. Chair. There is a chart that does go through the region. It does go through an open and public report that identifies every municipality and what the capping amounts are. So in my report that I do for this, I'll include that, and I'll have some discussion about the possible impact on Pelham.
I appreciate that.
Okay, thank you. So the motion is to receive and to ask for a staff report about the implications for Pelham. So that has been moved by Councillor Kersey, seconded by Councillor Durley. Just a couple of comments to that. First, in terms of the reason why, Councillor Kersey, you raised it, and Councillor Durley commented on it. I believe we spoke about the rates and ratios last year here at Council. That is set by the region, and it's usually done in concert with the treasurers from the area municipalities as well. And you'll recall that I think it was last year they said leave it as is, don't touch the rates, and I tried to do some things with pipelines, et cetera, and regional council didn't want to do that, nor did this council for that matter. So I think the treasurer can bring back that information. The second item that the reason I wanted to make sure that it was on the agenda is because staff had been waiting, I had been waiting patiently as well for the amount for education. And you'll note from the letter that they finally publicized that education amount. That means that we can then know what the final blended rate is for Pelham residential property taxpayers. And that final blended rate for this year, for 2016, for the average home residential property valued at $309,000 is 2.4%. So that's I call it pocketbook increase that folks with that property value will feel. That does include the amount that for the community center, and I think council and members of the community would have seen that on one of the display boards at the open house. So of that 2.4%, it's estimated that 1.1% of that is for the community center, and then 1.3 is for all other services. So just wanted to highlight that because, again, the town's portion is 35% of the tax total. When you talk about, things going up or down or whatever it is, it's really the blended rate and the impact on the taxpayers that folks like to look at. And the final piece on that is if you were to look at that over a period of the last 10 years or so, inflation for that same period ran, if you go to the Bank of Canada, is 17.7%, and our total tax increases for that period is 17.4%. So we're below inflation, which is very commendable for our community, and I'm not sure that many other communities can boast that as well. So good news. That's why I wanted to highlight it. So thank you very much. The motion was to receive it and to direct it to the staff, prepare a report regarding the implications. I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you. Now we move to, if I can grab it here, my report for information for council. Been a very busy time since our last council meeting, as you'll see from the report. So very, very pleased to present information regarding the Pelham Community Center to the Fonthill Lions Club on April 5th. And I appreciate the warm welcome that I received to the Fonthill Lions Club. On your desks, you will see that I provided this to you. It's the CAA Worst Roads Campaign. Help pave the way to safer roads. So I was pleased to attend that event on April 6th, and please encourage all to participate. That's caaworstroads.ca, and you can vote, I guess, on your worst road in the community. There weren't any in Pelham last year. There were some in the region, and you'll be grateful to know that those regional roads have been included in this year's budget and should be fixed up. But we should encourage folks to participate in this. And I think of interest to Pelham, especially because we're trying to be walkable and cyclable, they also seek comment regarding trails and sidewalks and cycling lanes and cycling paths. So there's an opportunity for folks to get involved in that. I was very pleased to attend, along with Councillor Papp, the campaign close for the United Way of South Niagara, and that was on April 8th at a breakfast. And I was given the honor to really accept something on behalf of staff, and that's on behalf of Miss Amy's, Mr. Genesee, and Ms. Gilbert, who were the organizers of the United Way campaign here in town. I was delighted to accept the Small Organization of the Year from Most Improved Workplace campaign. A tremendous, tremendous job on how much we advanced it. It was something like 300% increase over last year. So lots of work, lots of enthusiasm. Congratulations to you, Ms. Gilbert, for that, and please pass it along to the other members of the team that were leading it. But really, it really was an effort from all of staff to get behind this campaign and participate. I spoke to the CAO, and they're going to raise this issue at the next staff meeting and present the various plaques. But really, really thank you on behalf of council, thank you to staff for your participation. I know that members of council also participate in that, so kudos to members of council as well. That same day, I was pleased to participate in the rural broadband announcement that was announced by Minister Baines, who's the Minister of Innovation, Science and Economic Development, and two local MPs, Mr. Biddle and Mr. Badaway. And this is for funding for rural development, and this will have an impact on our community. Very exciting, because sometimes we get comments from folks in the more rural areas or the hard to get to areas for Wi-Fi coverage, internet coverage, etc. And this could mean more. They're partnering with ExploreNet, so this could mean more towers, more Wi-Fi, more internet access for those. And Minister Baines was indicating that they wanted to get most of this done by Canada's 150th, so by the middle of 2017. So I've already spoken to some folks that have signed up with this, and they're very excited, and it means so much that they have this ability to sign up and use this service. I was, along with Mr. Ottaway, very pleased to present to the Pelham Welland Chamber of Commerce Board information about the Pelham Community Center and other imminent developments in the town. Some good questions by members of the board about it. Very excited, I would say, on the activities. So they were pleased to receive that, and we had the honor of doing that on April 11th. As is in the report here, on April 13th, I was pleased to meet with President Lightstone about various issues, including the Pelham Community Center, economic development in Niagara, and also I was able to thank him for his decade of service to the Niagara community. I was also pleased to discuss some potential opportunities regarding Brock co-op students and project assistance with some of the university staff. So there are, as I think we've talked about, but we've never sort of followed through on in terms of specific projects, but they are looking to reach out to the community and get involved in various communities with different projects and give that experience. If it's not a full, complete co-op term, it could be a project. So what they've asked for, what I suggested is that they meet with town staff. So I think that meeting is coming up with the CAO and the Director of Human Resources. So there might be possibilities for Brock University to get involved in some of the activities here in Pelham and help us with research and things like that over coming months. So that's very good. Along with Councillors Accursi, Papp, and Durley, very pleased to present to the Pelham Business Association about the Pelham Community Center. Some good questions about that, and thank you, colleagues, for answering some of those questions, and very, very good meeting, very interested in what we were doing, and also a great presentation on the job gym, which I hope many businesses are able to take advantage of. On Friday, so that was on the 14th of April. On Friday, the 15th, I was pleased to attend the federal government announcement with MPs Biddle and Badaway regarding a foreign trade zone. This is something very exciting for Niagara, the only foreign trade zone in Ontario. And what it means is, essentially, now if a business in Niagara were to import something, we saw some products there, olive oil from South Africa, and change it, flavor it, put it in smaller containers, whatever. When it first comes in, they'd have to pay some small duty and tariff, and then when it goes out to somewhere else, they have to pay that same duty and tariff to another jurisdiction. In this case, they would not, because Niagara would be deemed a foreign trade zone, they would not have to pay that on the incoming. It would just be on the one side. So it really cut off some of those tariffs, which is great news for manufacturing and other services. I think it could work with agriculture, with things like we have a grower, for instance, that imports flowers from Ecuador and then distributes them to the United States. So it could work in those cases as well. So very, very exciting for Niagara, this Niagara trade zone, something that's been worked on for a long, long time, and very pleased that Mr. Badaway was able to be there and to make that announcement. He called all of the mayors up behind him to support it because it's been something that he led, but there was a team that was working on this. So for folks that are interested in this, please check out the website niagaratradezone.ca, niagaratradezone.ca, and there's more information about this foreign trade zone. So congratulations to all, and we look forward to that helping Niagara's economy. Also very pleased, along with all members of council, to attend the open houses for the Pelham Community Center just this Saturday. And I did hear from the clerk, who had a little clicker in her hand and was counting the individuals that were attending. So thanks very much to the 242 people who attended the two open houses. Some great questions and great feedback from the community, so thank you very much for that. And finally, I appreciate your patience. There, as was approved by council at our last meeting, we did do the flag raising this morning for Special Olympics, and that flag is still flying. There is also a flag here, was outlined by Mr. Roden last meeting, and I appreciate councillors signing this flag and the book, and members of the public. That will be now going to, I think it's going to the school board tomorrow, and various locations that Mr. Roden outlined. So thank you for members of council for approving that today is the Special Olympics Day in Pelham. That is my report, and I'm grateful for Councilor Ribbiak and Councilor King who have moved receipt of my report for today. I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you. Next, we move to a second report from members of council, and it's our Deputy Mayor, Councilor Junkin, regarding Fire Station number 3. Councilor Junkin.
Okay, through you, Mr. Mayor, to my colleagues and members of the senior management team. On Saturday, April the 9th, I, along with other members of council, was honored to attend the installation dinner at Fire Station number 3. After partaking of a fine meal, council members observed and participated in the handing out of several awards, such as 5, 10, and 15-year service medallions. In my short address to the assembled firefighters and their wives, I commended the firefighters not only for their service in their roles of firefighters, but also for their roles in organizing and carrying out other events that make this a better community to live in. And I thank them again for their latest effort, which is, of course, the building of the skating rink, which is used by many people throughout the town. Always a good time to be had when you hang out with the firefighting crew.
Thank you very much, Councilor, and for serving in that capacity on behalf of council. Thank you for your report. Verbal report, so thank you very much. Thank you for your report and for being there and serving. Now we move to staff reports requiring action. It has been moved by Councilor King, seconded by Councilor Durley. Be it resolved, the council receive the issue summary report for information as it pertains to part of Block 4559M-399, depicted as parts 1 to 4 on 59R-15517, municipally known as 68, 70, 72, and 74 Abbott Place. And the council consider approving part lot control exemption bylaw for part of block 4559M-399, depicted as I stated earlier. Comments or questions? There being none, I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you. It has been moved by Councilor Durley, seconded by Councilor King. Be it resolved, the council receive the issue summary report for information as it pertains to block 4559M-348, depicting as parts 1 to 15 on 59R-15388, municipally known as 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 14 Klein Crescent, and that council consider approving the part lot control exemption bylaw for block 45 as depicted on those areas, municipally known as 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 14 Klein Crescent. Questions or comments? There being none, I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Now we move to bylaws. It has been moved by Councillor Papp, seconded by Councillor Kersey, that the following, be it resolved, the Council of the Town of Pelham, having due consideration of the following bylaws, do now read a first, second, and third time, and do pass the same, and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to sign and seal the bylaws. There are 5. 1, bylaw 3733, being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to enter into agreements with 5 establishments licensed by the Alcohol Gaming Commission of Ontario that are situated within the Summerfest licensed area, whose establishments being namely Zest Restaurant, the Cafe on Main and Wine Bar, Gelato Village, Moku's Restaurant, and Came and Kettle Beer Works, for the purposes of obtaining a special occasion permit for the Summerfest events to be held on Thursday, July 14th, Friday, July 15th, Saturday, July 16th, and Sunday, July 17th, 2016, and to repeal bylaw 3620, which was approved in 2015. The next bylaw, bylaw 3734, being a bylaw to exempt part of block 45, plan 59M-399 from part lot control, Wayland Heights subdivision, Shout Communities Fawn Hill Inc., file number PLC-01-16. That was the first item that we spoke about that approved. And then the second one is bylaw 3735, being a bylaw to exempt block 45, plan 59M-348 from part lot control, Village of Chestnut Ridge, Phase 1, Mountain View Homes, file number PLC-02016. That was the second item we just approved. Next, there is a bylaw 3736, being a bylaw to appoint Jeff Menard as building inspector, bylaw enforcement officer, and property standards officer for the corporation of the town of Pelham. And finally, bylaw 5, bylaw 3728, being a bylaw to establish fees and charges to be collected by the corporation of the town of Pelham. Any questions or comments for any of those bylaws? Councillor Kersey?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a couple of questions with respect to bylaw 3728, the fees and charges. Within the, not so much with the bylaw, but within the body of the attachment pertaining to the fees, there's a number of typos. Number one, it says 2016 feasts, F-E-E-S-T, and charges should be corrected. But more specifically, I had a question from planning. In the planning, it talks about outside consultant review fees and says basically full recovery. I wondered whether when those circumstances would come up, and then also if we endeavor to give the individual an estimate prior to going out and having the consultant engaged, and then we end up with a large fee, and then we're in a battle. So go ahead.
Okay, so just for clarity, Councillor, that's on page 14, is that correct?
I'm not sure
Town consultant
exactly
review
what
fee,
page.
full cost recovery?
Yeah.
And that's regarding, maybe the director can help us, that's regarding draft plan of condominiums, is that correct?
There's a number of places, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. I believe it's under draft plan of condominiums and site plans, and it might be under draft plan of subdivision as well. Those are used in exceptional circumstances where we require, sometimes the outside expertise of a consultant to assist us with the review. It's been done in the past on East Font Hill site plan, for example, and what we do, however, is certainly get an estimate from the consultant with respect to what the estimated time and cost would be to undertake that review, provide that amount to the applicant, inform them of it before we engage them formally. But it's just so that the town doesn't incur those costs to help support town's functions and review of the applications.
Okay, thank you.
I'm comforted with that we do provide some information before engaging the foreign, or the outside, not foreign, the outside consultant. Moving on, Mr. Mayor, I had some questions under the rec fees. There's an area under SOCAN fees in a couple of areas. There is no indication of how we recover the fees, or whether in fact we pay the fees, or just how that is dealt with. And I wondered whether we should get some clarity on that and have that encased within our list of fees so that people who are using.
I think we highlighted that item last meeting, Ms. Van Ravensway. So I think under some of the old Pelham Town Hall, for example, page 22, it just says SOCAN fees without dancing per event, SOCAN fee without dancing with dancing per event, etc. Can you comment on that, Ms. Van Ravensway?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we collect SOCAN fees on behalf of SOCAN. So any event, whether it's a parade or a use of a hall, a fitness class, a open concert, the fees, there's a different fee schedule that is SOCAN fee schedule. It could be based on a percentage, it could be based on attendance, or just a, for instance, a parade, a marching band, each band is charged so much. We collect those fees, whether it's our activity or whether it's someone that's renting our facilities. And then we resubmit to SOCAN.
I think the question that was asked is, should there be something there to say full cost recovery or remittance to SOCAN or whatever it is, that we're the flow through on that? Is that what you're thinking, Counselor?
Yeah, I was thinking like full cost recovery according to SOCAN fee schedule or something along that line.
Yeah. Madam Treasurer?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, that change has already been made, so I think just in the timing of the bylaw was not gonna be coming back, and then it did come back. The revised one did not get uploaded, but it does say full cost recovery right on the
I
SOCAN
see.
lines.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, as long as, can that be noted to make sure that that is occurs? If there are other, I'll say, errors, like fees versus feast or whatever it is, I believe the clerk has the power to correct those by bylaw, but if, so I'd encourage you to
Yeah, I had one more
realize
area that I
maybe
noticed.
just, if there's small errors, like spelling errors, please tell the clerk. But are there any other ones like the SOCAN that's important?
The other issue was in some of the swimming programs, there was no fees specified, specifically with respect to the swim team. And I spoke to our director just prior to the meeting, and she indicates that it could be a typo where things have kind of moved in the spreadsheet, and consequently, that line item didn't get a fee
That
for
page
it.
25, which item was it?
Bronze
Bronze medallion, emergency first aid training? That one?
Specialty program here.
Ms. Van Ravensay, is it that one? Or
Through you,
NLS,
Mr.
whatever
Mayor,
that is.
what has happened is Bronze Cross, the fee is missing. It should be $110, which it always has been, $110. The Bronze Cross Recert is $44.25. And then swim team is 100. So the one amount was missed, which messed up the two following amounts. So we will correct that.
Okay, thank you. What is NLS? Can you-
National Lifeguarding.
Can that be corrected as well, that the initiated in swimming knows what that is, please? Thank you.
Life Saving Society.
National Life Saving Society, yeah, okay. Anything else regarding, thank you. And Ms. Van Ravensway, I believe I raised the issue last meeting, and this is why it was pulled. And I understood there was a meeting with a representative of one of the user groups about the fees. Can you just report to back to council to close the loop on that, please?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, Ms. Bucco and myself met with Stuart McPherson of the Pelham Soccer Association with regard to their fees. And after the discussion, Mr. Stewart was, or Mr. McPherson, sorry, was satisfied with the fees and had no issues.
Okay, good to know. Thank you. Anything further? Thank you for catching those, Counselor, and I'd encourage perhaps staff engage someone as eagle-eyed as Counselor Kersey to review these before they're presented to council next time. Anything further? Do we need to take that as amended or as corrected?
You're bored. Yeah, I'm bored. Are you-
Okay, so, Counselor Kersey, will you move, the clerk is indicating that we should at least say as amended because of the one
Happy
fee.
to do
So
that, Mr. Mayor.
Counselor Kersey has amended the fee schedule based on the conversation, and who's going to second that? Counselor Durley. I'm going to call the question on the amendment. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. And I'm now going to call the question on the bylaws, including bylaw number 5, which has been amended. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried with that bylaw amended. Thank you. Now we move to, it's been moved by Councillor Kersey, second by Councillor Junk, be it resolved the following bylaw be read a first, second, third time and passed. Bylaw 3737, to adopt, ratify, and confirm the proceedings of council of the town of Pelham in its regular meeting held on the 18th day of April 2016. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. It's been moved by Councillor Junkin, seconded by Councillor Kersey. Be it resolved, this regular meeting of council be adjourned until the next regular meeting scheduled for Monday, May 2nd, 2016, unless sooner called by the mayor. All those in favor? Any opposed? This meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
Just as I was getting ready to
Oh, really?
You know, they said, we're coming here to